If you're feeling tired and overwhelmed, you might be wondering how you can bring more balance into your life and spend more time doing the things that actually help you feel fulfilled. If that's the case, it sounds like slow living philosophy might be just what you need. I apologize if you can hear chewing, it's my dog. She's got her favorite bone. Now, slow living isn't necessarily about changing the literal pace at which you do things. It's about paying more attention to how you spend your time so you can ensure that you're doing more of the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. And in this video, I'm going to explain some powerful slow living practices so that you can live a happier and healthier life. So the first one is intentional technology use. Technology, the internet, social media, these are all wonderful things. We can access the world at a touch of a button and keep in touch with people we might not otherwise see as regularly. However, as we know, the internet and social media can have negative impacts. Having easy access to whatever is going on in the world can create a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of stuff that we see online that we have no control over. Slow living philosophy isn't about ditching the internet, but it is about being more intentional about how much time you spend on the internet and what you consume when you're on the internet. At certain points, I've spent a lot of time reading a lot of news stories and current events, and I've noticed that over a period of weeks, my mental health does dip when I do this. Unsurprisingly, when I come away from the internet and social media and stop consuming so much of that news, my mental health improves really quite quickly. Not only that, but when I'm more intentional about my internet use, it means that I'm not sitting on the internet all the time scrolling, and it's not taking my attention away from the things that I really want to do. Slow living practice number 2 is getting out in nature. I've talked about this before on the channel. One of my favorite things to do is get out in nature, and I think like a lot of people, I often forget that we are a part of nature. We are not separate from it. So I do try to get out in nature every weekend. I find this helps to calm my mind. It gives me a bit of a refresh after a week at work, and it also helps to reset my physical energy. So if I am feeling particularly tense or anxious, it just helps to bring that back down and ground me. And the great thing is nature is free to access. You don't need to be out in the middle of a forest. You could go to another green space like a park, and you can do it by yourself, or you could find that there are groups in your local area, perhaps walking groups. Often there might be retreats. Whether you prefer to do this on your own or you want to get together with other like-minded people, that's another slow living practice you can try out. Slow living practice number 3 is simplifying your consumption. So this means being more mindful of your spending habits, trying not to buy on impulse, and just generally being more careful about your purchases. For some people, it can also mean buying secondhand or pre-loved items rather than new, although I appreciate this is a very personal choice. For me as well, when I get to the point of replacing my personal care items, I've started replacing them with cruelty-free and vegan products. I was quite unaware of the fact that there are still products here in the UK that are tested on animals, and I don't want to contribute to that. So I'm being much more aware of where I get my products from and how they're being developed. Changing the way that we consume resources, I think, involves personal choices that align with what our core values are. But we also have to be mindful of our personal circumstances. There might be things that we just can't do because of our individual circumstances or finances. So we don't need to aim for perfection with this. Do what is realistically within your power to do. And if we all do that, we can make a real difference. And I'd be interested to hear what sort of slow living practices you want to incorporate into your life. Feel free to let me know down in the comments. Slow living practice number 4 is contributing to your community. I don't know about you, but it does seem as though the sense of community has dwindled over recent years. I'm not saying that's the case everywhere, but I wonder if social media has played a part in us. Almost we feel connected to other people, but really those connections aren't necessarily the same as what we might have when they're face to face. Getting involved in your local community is a great way to meet new people, building those social connections, and research has shown that having more good quality social connections can help improve not only the quality of your life, but also the length of your life. Getting involved in a local project is something that I would like to do this coming year. I've been thinking about causes that are important to me, and even though I do make monetary donations where I can, I've been thinking more about giving my time and doing some volunteering. And I do have to think carefully about this, and it comes back to looking at your own personal circumstances. I work full-time. Alongside working full-time, I do this YouTube channel, which does take a lot of time to produce those videos, but I enjoy doing it. But I don't want to commit to something else that I can't continue doing, because that wouldn't be fair on the charity or the community project I want to get involved with. I don't want to muck anybody around. So have a think about any community projects or organisations that you might want to get involved with. Or even if it wasn't necessarily an organisation, it could be as simple as checking in with your neighbour. Maybe you've not seen them in a while and you just want to knock on their door and ask if they're okay okay or if they need anything. It may seem like a small thing, but I think it's really underestimated. Slow living practice number 5 is making time for downtime. As important as it is to make time for meaningful and fulfilling activities, I think it's also important to make time for doing nothing. We can't be on all the time. And if we try to, I think we run the risk of exhausting ourselves and burning out. There have been some weekends where I've not left the house. I have been doing things, but it's been at a very leisurely pace and I've not felt rushed, and it felt wonderful. For me, downtime could be doing some cooking, doing some batch cooking and meal prep. And I know that still sounds like doing, but I think it's the intention at which you do things. There are times where I might be cooking and I'm really rushing to get it done, but when I've got time at the weekend to just potter, maybe listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video while I'm preparing the food, I really enjoy that. I'm just really in my happy place. And I think it just goes to show that these things will look different for all of us. So one person's downtime might not be the same as another person's downtime. It might be spending time with friends or family, reading, writing, or gardening. Think about what works for you. And if you'd like some more slow living tips, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.